Consent to me is fun, funny, and interesting.
Healthy boundaries and communication. It's everyone's right to have.
Asking and making sure it's okay.
Affirmative consent, particularly, it means that we are all checking in on each other.
We're aiming for enthusiastic consensual sexual experiences where people are having a good time, enjoying themselves, where no one is being harmed, which is what everybody has the right to do and is entitled to, whether they're choosing to have sex or whether they're not.
Having young people learn how to have conversations about consent is such a wild but necessary conversation.
We're addressing the problems of the lack of knowledge that people have about consent.
A lot of the time it's really not taught. Like, my parents didn't talk to me about consent. Never like, this is what consent is and this is what you should expect in all relationships.
The everyday conversation doesn't always involve the nuances of consent and what situations you can encounter or how you can help others.
It's something I definitely didn't know about. I thought I did. What I previously knew is basically what we're taught in high school, which is not much. And that's probably the experiences I had with other partners. I don't think I was ever asked or if it was ever like ongoing consent.
Before being part of this project, I had no idea about affirmative consent legislation. And speaking to most of my friends, they also didn't know. And all of them are feminists and like really concerned with these things.
I think it's severely important that people learn about affirmative consent because it's an everyday part of everyone's life, whether they realise it or not.
Consent is really important to have healthy relationships.
Which I think is so important for young people to know and understand what the legislation is that affects them so much. Because if they don't know that legislation, that is absolutely the bare minimum, then they don't know what they can expect and what they should expect and ask for in relationships.
Even though at first it's uncomfortable to talk about these things, that means it needs exploring. It's nuanced, it's complicated, but that doesn't mean it should be avoided. That's why taking action is here, to normalise talking about consent.
The ripple effect that the programs like this have on the community is so strong. The people that are in it, then their friends and family, and then the people that talk to those people.
I think being a part of Taking Action makes having the conversations with my sister and my mum a lot easier because I know that I'm giving them facts and I'm not just kind of guessing. If I don't give that information to my sister, then I don't think she would get it anywhere except the internet, which can be wrong sometimes. I think it means more coming from me because she's going to listen to me more than just a teacher at school.
Having conversations with my family, particularly my parents, it was a bit embarrassing, not gonna lie, because it's your parents, you know, but it was really good that I could get through to them with some things and they could teach me as well. So I really encourage people to do the same.
My grandfather, who just turned 90, sat down and watched this whole presentation that we had been given. He was so into it. He was like, wow, this is crazy. We didn't have this in the 40s. And he was fascinated, and he was even telling his friends who were probably about 80 to 90 years old. So it was reaching a higher demographic. I would want my friends and family to know that there is always a freedom to choose, because it's always okay to say no, but it's also okay to say yes. And I feel like there's a lot of stigma, especially towards women, that they're not allowed to be too keen, but it's okay to have that choice to say yes or no, whatever feels right for that person.
I also found it really valuable learning how to have these conversations in a fun way. Consent is really fun and it can be entertaining, it can be funny, really getting people comfortable and excited to talk about consent.